Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's Stoner. No Trev in this one, but that's all right. He's probably looking to attract some business there in Lexington at Sky Bar because there's a new king in town. Bradley Beal got himself that supermax deal, 5-year, $251 million. Stoner, you knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You've been calling it. You said that's going to happen. You didn't want to hear any Beal slander.
Nope.
You didn't want to hear about Beal signing elsewhere or anything like that. Why were you so certain this deal was finally going to get done today?
Simply money. It's you just can't put aside $65 million. It's guys just don't do that. That's just not. There's never enough money. So somebody puts $251 million in front of you, or you can get 180 something. To you and I, there shouldn't be a really big difference. To those guys, it's a big difference. It's ego, it's respect, and really it is all about the money. Did you feel that same way? Did you think the whole time that he was definitely signing?
So I knew he was going to sign, right? Because this is the most money. He could have pushed the issue to say, I'll sign the deal, but you got to trade me. In the end, he was going to sign. Whether or not Washington was going to keep his services was probably, when I say it's a non-0% chance, but it's pretty darn close to minimum chance that they were not going to get Beal, right? Like that's everything that they're doing right now is in concert with we're going to keep Bradley Beal on this team.
Yeah.
And so it just, as much as I wasn't team trade Beal, I think that the signs were on the wall that this is what the Washington Wizards wanted to do. Now that they've completed this, what's next for the Wizards?
Wow. Well, they made that trade just a couple of days ago to bring in Monte Morris. Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Free agent frenzy. I mean, the end of it's crazy, right? Monte Morris and Will Barton from Denver for KCP and Ish. So what they did is they got their point guard and they got additional shooting as well. KCP, Will Barton, maybe a wash. Maybe KCP is a little bit better defensively. But they got the most important thing, which is a point guard who can shoot, a point guard who has an almost 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, right? And he's the guy. There's a lot of people out there thinking they're going to make more moves for another point guard. No, he's the guy. He's the number one guy. Maybe they'll get a backup, some guy off the scrap heap. Yeah. But as far as your starter, Monte Morris. So now you've got a semblance of a team, right? So, I mean, is this a championship caliber team? No. Is this a contender to push into the top 6, which is, you don't have to worry about the play-in game? I'm sorry, but I think it is.
I just how low is this team that we kind of get excited that they're just going to be pushing into a non-play-in spot,
right?
But they do essentially have they have their big 3. They have Bradley Beal, obviously. They have the unicorn and Kuzma's at least currently on the team right now.
Yep.
And you got to think that they're at least going to run this out. And the Kuzma thing, I know we all, well, I'm not going to speak for you, but I believe he will be traded before the end of the season, but that's not a trade you have to make right now. And in fact, it might not be a trade you have to make at all if that big 3, along with, Johnny Davis, their rookie that they got at the 10th pick this year. If he plays well, if Denny comes back and is able to shoot the ball as well as play defense, if Kispert continues shooting the way he did towards the end of the season, if Rui finally makes that next step, these are things that if all this kind of happens, then maybe you don't have to get rid of Kuzma because things are going well for the team, or maybe you do get rid of Kuzma because maybe those guys are stepping up and you don't necessarily, and you can get some trade, assets back for Kuzma in that regard. With Bradley on, I think the KCP trade, you brought that up from yesterday. I thought that was interesting because that is actually one aspect where Bradley Beal was close with KCP.
Sure.
So, Do you think Bradley Beal, especially now that he's got this 5-year supermax deal, do you think he's going to be calling more of the shots and kind of pushing for which players? It didn't work out last year,
Mhm.
and obviously now KCP's gone. Or do you feel like he's allowing the team to kind of make the decisions they want for Wes Unseld Jr. right now?
Well, I certainly think that any decision that the team is thinking of making, they certainly include Bradley in those decisions. $250 million will gain you that sort of power or that sort of leverage. So they at least have to bring it by him, but I don't think he's calling the shots. It's not a LeBron situation in LA where he decides who's on the team and who's not. But when you're paying that guy, you better make sure he's happy. You got to do everything you can to make sure that he's happy with the guys around him. And he never played. Maybe he never played with Porzingis, right? If I remember
No,
correctly,
he was injured, and
he was already
Porzingis
injured.
was, yeah. Mhm.
And Kuzma barely played with Porzingis because Kuzma got hurt towards the end of the year.
They were
So
also kind of in tank, mode at that point,
yeah,
right? So
so
they
these
weren't looking to win games. In fact, I think the only reason why you saw Porzingis towards the end was because you kind of wanted to make sure you had what you
Mhm.
thought you had in
Right.
him.
Yeah, because Kuzma probably could have played maybe
Mhm.
in some of those last 10 games. But you haven't seen these three together. You've got to give it a shot because you're not, Kevin Durant's not coming, right? Kyrie's not coming. LeBron's not coming. None of these difference makers are coming here. So you have to get the best guys on that second level and see what you got. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to basically run it back with most of the same guys that they had towards the end of the year, but a couple of different changes in the backcourt there, a new rookie, other guys stepping up, and they're going to see what you got. And this is a better team than they were at the end of last year. They just are.
Now you
I don't know what
mentioned
that
with
means, but they are.
that they kind of got their point guard to start the year
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
trade, but Bradley Beal just signed this big deal,
Hmm.
and Tommy mentioned Brad can handle the point guard
Sure.
position.
Sure.
How do you see that developing over the season? Do you think that's going to be something they start off with, or is that something you're just going to see in some plays, or is he eventually just going to transition to more of a shooting point guard role, where the ball, and that's kind of where the NBA I think is at right now
Hmm.
anyways, is you don't necessarily need a true point guard. You don't need a 10 assist guy who's only getting you like 12 points. You just
Right.
need to be able to move the ball around. So,
Right.
but for Bradley Beal, where do you see that developing this season, especially after the Supermax deal?
Well, for sure, the offense is going to run through Brad and KP, right? Porzingis. It's going to run through them. It's going to run mostly through Brad. Again, he's got the money, he's got the power, he's got the leverage, he's got the skills, all of that stuff. So whether or not it becomes a true offense where a point guard walks the ball up the court and then starts the offense, they don't necessarily need that. But you do need a guy who's competent enough to facilitate the offense that they're trying to run. Wes Unseld Jr. is no dummy, right? He is very skilled in his ability to run offenses, run defenses, make adjustments. We saw it all year long, all the adjustments he makes. He's going to figure out what's best. But you're definitely not going to have the Raul Neto has to be in the game from last year because he's the only guy who can not turn the ball over, or an Ish Smith, right? So
Mhm.
you're not going to have that when you've got ball handlers like Kuzma can handle the ball. Kristaps
Mhm.
Porzingis can bring the ball up,
Yeah.
and Brad, of course. So the offense is going to run through him, whether or not it's a traditional point guard bringing the ball up or just Brad brings up and starts it. It's going to be interesting to see how that all turns out, though, for sure.
Now we call you Nostradamus because you
Hmm.
tend to be able to predict a lot of things, especially when it comes to the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
Bradley Beal,
Yeah.
does he live up to this Supermax contract?
Well,
And
that
what does that mean? What does that
yeah,
mean anyways, right?
what does that mean? That's the biggest question. Does he live up to it? I mean, $50 million a year, are they worth it? If that's what the market bears, then they're worth it. But whether or not they live up to that, if you're paying a guy $50 million, you expect to contend for championships.
Mhm.
That doesn't usually happen around here. So, but that doesn't mean it can't. It's not like there's no curse. There's no black cloud hanging over it. You get the right players, you get the right mix, you can do some damage. They were 10-3 last year. Now it was a fraudulent 10-3, but they were playing well.
Paper tiger.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with some sort of curse that they couldn't finish strong. There was chemistry issues.
Mhm.
There were injuries that came up. So, to answer the question specifically, is he going to live up to it? Probably not. But in the end, Ted Leonsis, the owner, is going to make an S ton of money off of Bradley Beal. And that's probably more important.
Yeah,
than
that's
worrying
fair.
about him.
He's definitely going to put butts back in seats. Maybe it will be an exciting season. Do you agree with Stoner? Do you think that they're at least going to contend for that 6th seed, maybe higher? Let us know in the comments. And do you think Bradley Beal is going to live up to his contract? I want to know all of that in the comment section. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time,
What's that?
be a fan. Hey, thanks for watching us here on Ref the District. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out one of these other videos here as well. We create lots of great content. Of course, we're live every Wednesday at 7:30. Things get pretty heated there as well. Until next time, be a fan.